That's my boy. Yo, what's up, fam? How you doing, man?
I haven't seen you in a long time. How you doing?
It's good to have you, man. But look, bro, I need for you to take over this live. Like, look, because listen, I don't know what you do. You do it for a living. I would like to see how a professional golden voice takes over a live and just hosts it. So I'm gonna shut up and let you do what you do, bro. Do your thing, man.
I don't even know where to start or where to end right now because we're just all over the map being technically inept. Anyways, I'm David Gascon. That's CJ Beatty. Thanks for joining us tonight, CJ.
Yes.
Easton's got some cool things going on in the last couple of days, and that includes the B5, which is the green Easton. Everybody knows about the B5, the Pro Big Barrel. And it's B6, excuse me. It's one of those things where with the B5, you're talking about old school bat to now 2021, right? Like drastically different, but still like that sleek look, that good look. And it's a revival, right? Like things come back from years past to where they're at now. And, you know, Major League Baseball, we're in full swing postseason action. Dodgers, Braves, Rays, and Astros. But for the youngins and for us, the game never stops. And so that's where we're at right now. You got the fall ball, and then you get into winter. And then, of course, the spring comes around. And then before you know it, pitchers and catchers are reporting again. But
I'll be there.
I wanted to get into this with you because, like, you've done some wild things in your life. And getting to the big leagues, Major League Baseball, that's the show, right? And you've had your time. You know, White Sox and Cardinals. You've been a pro baseball player, a pro scout, and now you've you've gone from that universe, stayed in it, but also you've dipped your toes into the world of motivational speaking. So I'm gonna kind of peel this onion back a little bit, but I wanted to ask you, what got you into the game of baseball in the first place?
Man, I mean, to be honest with you, and this is just straight honest. Like my mom did not want me playing football growing up. You know, my bones and my body was about the size of my pinky, and she couldn't stand having, you know, me at the bottom of a pile of tough football players getting broken up. That was my mom's fear. So just like, you know, shout out to my pops because he did the right thing. He listened to his wife. And I didn't play football, dude, because of that. So I found a less contact sport in baseball, and as history unfolds, you know, that was my sport. That was my sport, man.
So you got into it, but did you ever have aspirations of playing professional baseball? Was it a pipe dream for you? Was it just a dream, or did you have guys that you wanted to emulate, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you just started to catch fire?
Yeah, I don't think, you know, at the age of 5. You don't even know what, like, really professional going through the ranks, scholarships and things like that. So I started playing at 5, but it really set in around 8 or 9 when I was like, you know what? I want to do what they're doing on TV. Like, I want to be there. Like, that looks dope. They're signing autographs. You know, people like Michael Jordan, Ken Griffey Jr., Derek Jeter, pulling up in Lamborghinis. I said, whatever it is, I want to do that. You know, that was it for me. So I remember at the age of 8 or 9, I was just in the kitchen, and I told my mother over my favorite cereal, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, the best freaking cereal out there. And if you don't think that it's the best cereal, then you must be living under a rock because there ain't nothing else out there like it. You know what I'm saying? Lucky Charms don't put enough marshmallows in there for you to enjoy it. So therefore, but anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But that right there is very important on how I wanted to become a baseball player. Is just having those type of role models really inspire me to say that I want to be like them. Yeah.
And it's one of those things where all of a sudden you start gaining that confidence, and you get the experience, and then before you know it, you fall under someone's tutelage, and then bang, sky's the limit for you.
Yeah. I mean, and then it helps in the Little League. When you're the man in the Little League, like, you're the man. I'm talking about you get out the car. I got out the old school Suburban that back in 1999, you know, back in the late 90s, got out of this. Dude, anytime I got out and I walked out there, I felt like I was the man in Little League. It was like, that's the guy that can hit it over. That's the guy that can hit it over. You know, so I felt like I was the big stuff out there, being 11 years old, 12 years old, going over the fence, you know.
Which is wild too, right? Because you get some players like when they were at that age that would crush like you, and then you get some that were really timid, like didn't want to hit a fastball, worried about a breaking ball hitting them. And it took them a while. Like once they got into high school, they could take off.
Yeah.
You get some that just continually crushed, at every single level. And
Yeah.
that's great, obviously, for you. And so you think about those days, and you watch some of the kids now playing in the Little League World Series, and eventually playing the College Baseball World Series. And now you get postseason baseball with the pros. There's nothing like it. And I thought about this when I was, I did a little homework on you, and I wanted to ask you point blank, what provoked you to not only step back from what you were doing professionally and say, you know what, I need to give back to those that got me there for what you're doing right now?
Man, I would say I wanted my role models. Seriously, my role models, man. They did a phenomenal job, dude. I mean, the King Griffey Juniors, the Tony Gwynns, Derek Jeter being in Sports Illustrated. You remember that Sports Illustrated magazine, bro? Back in the day?
Yeah.
I would go to the dentist's office, and that was the only reason I liked going to the dentist, was to be able to look at a copy of Sports Illustrated and to see what they were doing. I mean, they put them on a platform that showcased the people that we saw on TV going inside of the schools and speaking to the elementary school students, having a sea of students packed in the gymnasium and having their favorite athletes speaking life into them on making great decisions and you can do it too type messages. And that's what inspired me. When I made a vow that if I got the opportunity to play a professional sport, that I would sign on every autograph, that I would wait after every game and make sure everybody's happy before I leave. Because I remember when I was a little kid tugging on the shirt or waving and hope he get a chance to look at my baseball and sign it. I remember those days, and I hold that dear to my heart. So I think a lot of that goes into who I am today, is because I had great role models that really exemplified that role model status.
Yeah, and it's wild because you only get a short period of time, like during spring training, where you get all those facilities that are kind of bunched together, and then the fans can kind of pack into those smaller facilities, which is great because you can do autographs before and after games and whatnot. And you get to see, obviously, on a 25-man roster, not even a 40-man roster, you get everything from from rookie ball to the big leagues that are up there and that you can kind of hang out with before the regular season starts. I'm swinging B5. Where in the world did that come from? And tell me a little bit about it.
B5, baby. That's what I'm talking about. If you ain't swinging B5, you ain't swinging nothing, son. All right. So, how it happened, I've been dropping hot fire music, baseball feel-good music for about 5 years now. Been out here in these streets with the baseball music, and I had an opportunity to talk with the staff, with Easton, about an idea. I was just like, yo, I got hot fire. Let me give hot fire to hot fire and see what we can come up with. Yeah. And we came up with Fuego. You know what I'm saying? I was talking with Austin, VP of marketing with Easton, and I said, hey, dude, I got an idea. I want to shoot a music video for that bat. And I just have the perfect song for it. So I gave him the song. It turns out it wasn't perfect. It was I'm Swinging Drop 5. And he was like, dude, that's great, but let's take it a step further. Don't feel bad. But I was like, I'm not going to feel bad. I'm not going to, talk to me about what you got. He's like, dude, you got something special coming out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, dude, tell me, what's up, bro? And he's like, listen, if you tell somebody, you might go missing. He didn't say that, okay? He didn't say that. That's off. Yeah, okay. But he's like, dude, we have this bat that's coming out, the B5. Do you remember it? I'm like, of course. You talking about the most iconic bat of all time? He like, the bat that changed history, the bat that did that. He said, yes, it's coming back. And I'm like, what? He's like, dude, picture this. Don't be offended. But instead of I'm swinging drop 5, how about you remix it to I'm swinging B5? And I'm like, oh my God, dude, you are the man. I'm on it. I'm on it. Right. Let's go. So that's really where the ideas stem from. I mean, he put the creative juices started, and then he started throwing names of the people that we had access to using their likeness in the song. I'm like, oh my God, you're giving me ammo. Like, what? These lyrics are about to be off the chart. Like Tino Martinez, Tony Gwynn, Barry Larkin. I mean, just to name a few, John Elway. You know, Mark McGuire. I mean, I'm like, and the list goes on. I'm like, what in the world? Of course, let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't get marginal players. You get world-class players that are, you know, some of them obviously are Hall of Famers. And you mentioned Elway, a Hall of Famer in the National Football League, but he could have played third base for the New York Yankees had he not gone to Denver. That brings up an interesting point too. Who was your favorite baseball player growing up?
Dude, I have to give it to, I mean, for real, I have to give it to Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in that era where he was on video games. He was on Wheaties boxes. He was in every magazine. I mean, it was about the kid. You know, I grew up in that era where everybody at that little league I talk about, everybody was freaking, I mean, they were striking out and hitting bombs with his stance. He was such an iconic player that he had everybody in the freaking little league using his stance.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Like, everybody was up there wiggling. You know, you got people up there wiggling just like him to try to hit just like Griffey, to wear his cleats, his shoes, his hat backwards. I mean, he just really, I mean, even to this day, some of the people today, if not all, was influenced by Ken Griffey Jr. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it almost makes me think in a way how he was back in the day. Like Allen Iverson was a trend center for a lot of guys that were playing basketball. Like Griffey Jr. was the same thing. And like you said, backwards hat, dude would climb a wall and you know, rob guys from home runs. And that's some of the fondest memories of him, obviously in the Pacific Northwest.
I think
back in the day.
Is it safe to say though, was Griffey the beginning of that bringing sexy to the game of baseball, like with that smooth swing and the swag? Did he start the swag? Did Griffey start swag in baseball, or was there, like, you know what I mean, of course there was other guys, you know, they had the Ray-Bans and all the, you know, and all of that type of stuff when they hit, but like on that level, did Griffey start swag for baseball?
I think so. I think it's safe to say that, right? Because you had one side of the aisle that was like a guy like Pete Rose or like Charlie Hustle. That guy was just raw no matter what. And then, like you said, with Griffey Jr., backwards hat, sweet left-handed swing. He'd go opposite field. It was great in center field. And there was no panic to his game. I think that was the biggest thing. Like watching him play, there was no panic to his game. And yeah, I would say he's a trend center. I mean, as a guy that people emulated all the time, you know, you talk about some right-handed bats, it's one thing, but a left-handed stick, you're thinking Griffey Jr., you're thinking Ted Williams, you're thinking Tony Gwynn, like those are the guys, right? Like those are some of the most prolific hitters the game has ever seen. So yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
But you have the aspirations
I've never really thought about that in that way, man. But it's freaking true, man. I mean, how many other people in Major League Baseball up until that point had their own shoe?
Not possible, right?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of brings me to where we're at now, because there's certain guys that stand out. And I know Major League Baseball tries to push, you know, certain guys. Like Mike Trout's one of them. You can say he's the best player in Major League Baseball, and I think he is. But there's guys like Mookie Betts in L.A., and of course Bryce Harper in Philadelphia. But they're like Francisco Lindor in Cleveland. Like there's some prolific guys that I think the game of baseball has to push out and elevate more. And you know, going back to your point, like these guys all have their own flair, which is great. You know, bat flipping, you know, John a little bit. You even get some pitchers that give it a little back, you know, at certain times. So I don't know. Do you think the game of baseball is in a good state where it's at right now in terms of promoting their product?
I think as a brand, as a business, if I want to talk about it as a business, social media, social media, I think baseball's in a good place. One of the things, and I'll say this because we talk about all the time at the barbershops and things like that. If you look at the amount of followers that MLB has versus NBA versus NFL.
Yeah.
And you would see the type of entertainment that they post on their pages, from the flashy dunks, from the passes, from the buzzer beaters to the, things like that. If you wait and only wait for a walk-off to post something, or wait for an 18 strikeout performance, or wait for a no-hitter, then baseball will be on the back burner for excitement. I mean, that's just how it is. But the way that they're highlighting these new age players and the flair that they have and everything else right now, I think it's great for baseball. It's exciting. I wake up in the morning, I get on MLB's Instagram, and I'm like, who did a bat flip today? Or look how high that, look how many Ks Glassy threw from the Rays. Look at that. Look at their highlights now. And they're highlighting, and I think it's great. So to answer your question, man, I would say yes. I like the state that baseball's in, because even if you don't like it, you're talking about it, and we know in business, if you're talking about it, then that's good business. So I think as a brand, it's going. I've paid attention. MLB's Instagram has shot up during this COVID with all the things that they've done with highlighting the swagger, with highlighting the fun, with highlighting just everything in general. It's changed, and it's gaining a wide range of followers for MLB.
Yeah, no doubt. Since we got some people in here into the chat, CJ, let's take a peek at some of the questions that are out there. I know that there was one. I know that there was one I saw earlier that said, if you were to pick a multi-sport athlete that you like the most, who would you pick?
Say that again.
A multi-sport athlete, who would you pick? Who's your favorite multi-sport athlete? First what came to my mind was Bo Jackson. Yeah,
you know what? Okay. Pound for pound, freaking Bo Jackson, like all day long. I mean, there's nobody in. I don't know. I think my money is safe to say that I don't ever think there will be another Bo Jackson. I mean, for real. I mean, to do what he did on those scales, to be that good. I mean, you might find another player that might play multiple sports at the highest level, but at what impact did Bo Jackson played it at? Like, he was a superstar. You know what I'm saying? So to be that in two sports, I don't know if we'll ever see that again. But if I had to pick, because I know that somebody was going to probably pick Bo Jackson, I would say Deion Sanders, dude.
Prime time, man.
Prime time.
He was legit. And he could write his own ticket in the National Football League. At times he was a hired gun. He'd go from San Francisco to Dallas, and obviously he spent some time in Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of curious how, I know they're not playing now, but dudes like Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson, guys that can play baseball and that have played baseball. I mean, shoot, Kyler Murray was a step away from going with the Oakland Athletics. Those guys, they got lively arms, and they're guys that you can put anywhere on the baseball diamond. They can make an impact for a team too.
Yeah, for sure.
What was your favorite baseball video game growing up?
Oh man, I would say, dude, I don't know why they stopped making it, but my favorite baseball game was the College World Series when they brought the aluminum bats out.
Right.
I think that was back in 2006. Like that was everything. I played with Texas, and I was wreaking havoc, And I think we were using Easton bats in that game.
Yes.
But that game was one of my favorites, and but I think the best one of all time for me was MVP with Manny Ramirez on the front. I think that was 2005. Dude, that game right there was my favorite.
Nice. Let's get into this a little bit, because some of the folks might not know this. Background-wise, you go from playing professionally to being a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
How's that journey been for you so far?
Man, it's been great. People ask, how did you leave baseball so early? Because I retired from playing baseball, or my baseball career, around the age of 27, 28. And they were like, dude, you can still do it. Like, you're still freaking young. Why are you not playing anymore? I'm like, well, first of all, my hamstrings was giving out, and I got tired of pulling them suckers. So I was just like, yo, I'm done with that. But what really
because once they go,
what really helped the transition was motivational speaking. You know, the energy and the feeling that you get when you get done pouring into people, helping them with their faith, helping them with coming up with an approach or a plan, or helping someone really get to their dreams and goals faster. That right there pumped me up with adrenaline. And I said, oh my God, like, baseball gave me that rush, but this gives me an entirely different rush. It gives me a rush of purpose. And whenever I was feeling that I'm still in the game of baseball, I'm still around the game of baseball, coaching it, but with me being the baseball and softball motivator, I'm still around the sport. I'm still around the sport, and I'm able to kill two birds with one stone because I'm a speaker and I'm the baseball and softball motivator. So you put that together, you get your boy.
And so how have you approached 2020? Because this is a year like no other. I mean, you get kids, you get adults, you get families that are quarantined. They're isolated, they're stuck indoors, and they're looking for release, they're looking to get out, they're looking to have some fun, and this is not the norm. So how have you attacked that from a motivational approach?
Man, it's just being ready. You know, Easton is, and that's the way that I got involved with Easton. You know, during this quarantine, they had a Stay Ready campaign going on, and I think that was one of the best things that anybody or any company or any idea of an organization could do for people, is using their platform to help motivate people, and that's how we connected and collaborated. But just staying ready mentally, because at the end of the day, storms don't last forever. They don't. And at the end of every storm is a beautiful sunny day. Like, literally, when those gray clouds get out, here comes that sunny day. Will you be ready for it? You know, and that's what I wanted people to understand in this quarantine. This won't last forever. Like, it might be here for a while, but it will not last forever. Eventually, we'll go back to some normalcy. Will you be ready for it? You know, and that was the biggest message during quarantine, is you can't control the elements, but you can control your effort and attitude.
Right.
You know, so I just wanted people to be ready, because that time's going to come when COVID leaves or you start to play again.
Right.
And will you be able to say that I maximized my efforts and time during COVID when I was at home? Or did I just get lazy and complain and make excuses? You know, so at the end of the day, that was the message during, not only for people, that was the message for me. Because it affected me too. I'm used to traveling in airports every other weekend, flying places to speak, coach, and do camps and clinics. When COVID hit, I was down. I was a little depressed. I was like, man, this is not normal. But I had to figure out and take my own medicine and say, well, what are you going to do about it? You going to sit here in this corner and do nothing, or are you going to freaking get up and do something about it? And I started reading more books, and I started asking more questions, and I started using digital platforms and things like that. And I found a way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Are there any spots, and I'm swinging B5, that kind of hit that hard? Like they're like just pinpoint to what your message is right now? Yeah.
I mean, for sure. I mean, it's just identical. It's dead on.
I think it's fascinating that you can transition in such a way, because sports has an impactful impression on an individual, whether it's young teenagers or even adults, because you hear it from every athlete, man, woman, boy, girl, whether it's baseball, softball, whatever it may be. When you lose the locker room atmosphere, like, that's what you miss about the game the most. And playing is one thing, obviously, competing against other individuals, but it's the camaraderie, it's the cohesiveness, it's the backbreaking time that you put into your art, because that's what it's all about, is having it on full display on game day, but you miss out on those people that you came in contact with on the regular almost every day.
Yeah. I mean, it's that camaraderie. You'll always miss that. I mean, you'll miss that. And that's why I tell parents all the time to keep your kids in team sports, because what they learn from that, the leadership, the ability to communicate and everything like that. I owe a lot of who I am to team sports and to the sport of baseball, because it really helped mold me into who I am. Through the ups and through the downs. I learned so much more through my downs than my ups, so I'm thankful for that. But the camaraderie is crazy. The bus trips, the clubhouse, the locker rooms. It's just everything. Going out to eat as a team, and the stories.
Right.
Man, remember when Coach turned around and somebody threw a ketchup packet and it stuck to his back? Everybody's like, "Yo, dude, I remember that. Dude, that was crazy." And remember when we missed the bus? Remember when we missed the flight? Remember this? And those are
Right.
the memories that last forever, and that's what everybody deserves to experience.
Well, how about this then? So speaking of the experience, and you mentioned some of your playing days and the memorable times that you have, with the new edition of the B5, what do you like about it the most?
Dude, my biggest thing when I broke down the feel and the explosion of the B5, dude, the sweet spot is one of my biggest positive things to say about the bat. It really is. And I think when it comes to BB core bats, everybody always knocks like, dude, we got to find a BB core bat that jumps. We got to find a BB core bat that gives me the best ability to drive the baseball. And I'm sitting here because at the video shoot, I got a chance to swing with it. And first of all, the sound off of it was just stellar. It was your typical B5, loud ping, turning heads like, oh man, he got that one. That right there boosted my confidence a lot. Just hearing that ping.
Right.
But I felt a bigger sweet spot than all other BB core bats. And I'm like, I had to ask the reps there for Easton. I was like, is this legal? Like, is this a prototype? Because I feel like the sweet spot is bigger. It's like, nah, that's legal.
Right.
I was like, dude, y'all, people need to know about this. So I really believe through my swings with the bat that the sweet spot is bigger. And anytime that you can get the type of feeling of an advantage, you take it. And I want to give. I think the B5 is an advantage. So you need to get the B5 and put it in your hand so you give yourself an advantage over the competition.
Yeah, I was guilty of this because using the BB core bats, I would use some of the older Easton bats, and they were dead bats. But I'd use those during batting practice because if you can go yard with a dead bat, then all of a sudden you let up with one of the newer BB core baseball bats. Then you're smashing, right? It's like swinging a bat with a donut on it.
Yeah.
And then unloading on another one too. So the design of it is simple. It's sleek. It's simple.
Yes.
But I'm sure it gives you some memories from when you were playing back in the day, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. It really does. It's the B5. When you hold the B5, it's one of those things that is so much more than a bat. Like, it's one thing to get a bat and be like, I'm ready for this weekend. But when you make the purchase of a B5 bat and then do your due diligence and do your research on the history of it, like, that's a bat that you keep for the rest of your life like everybody else. Like, your dad, your grandfather, whoever, your uncle, whoever used that bat back in the day, they probably still have it. It's in the attic somewhere because it was a part of their history as a baseball player. Like, this is not just a bat that you get and then I'm done using it, so therefore I'm just going to sell it. Like, you really buy a piece of history. Like, you are buying, like, my dad used this bat, now I use this bat, so we keep these things because it's history. So again, that's why I felt like it was an honor, D, to be able to have my music attached to history. Because I'm like, man, I can tell my family, my kids, my grandkids one day, like, I'm a part of history, baby. I created the first music video for a bat ever. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's huge.
Where can people find your music at? Because I know distribution-wise, you can go all over the place, but where's your bread and butter? Where do you call home for all your music?
Man, if you're a Spotify person, it's on Spotify. All of my baseball, I have 5 volumes of baseball music that are filled with walk-ups. You go to any place that has a tournament that's allowing you to play music. If you stand there long enough, you're going to hear a CJ Beatty song, whether it's Mr. Drop a Bomb. B5 is running the streets right now. This is my walk-up music. Mr. I Don't Bunt, like, ooh. I mean, we have them all out there running these streets, man. So Spotify, any digital store, iTunes Music, Apple Music, Amazon, Google, iHeartRadio, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Make sure you go get it, blast it. I guarantee you others will be like, yo, who is that? And you'll be like, yo, that's my boy Beatty.
It's now, see, here's the thing, and I thought about this when you were talking with Austin about strategy-wise. From start to finish, like the conceptualization of it all, how long did it take you to come up with I'm swinging big B5?
2 days.
2 days?
Yeah, 2 days. I mean,
like
and it wasn't even like 2 days, like 24 hours a day. It was just like, I had to put it down in hours, 3 hours. So
nice.
I come home and I started writing it. I stayed up for about an hour and a half. I got about done with verse 1 and 2. And then the next day I finished verse 3. And then I just used the last 30 minutes to go over it and just make it myself. Add the ad-libs in there for all my writers and rappers. Add the ad-libs, the strong words and all that kind of stuff. But it took me about 3 or 4 hours to write B5.
Nice. Well, the nice thing about this too, because we're gonna wrap this thing up, CJ, is that people can download the song, and then after they do that, they can actually enter the Green Easton giveaway. And so for individuals that are out there that are interested in buying the new B5, obviously buy the bat, get the bat, download the song though. But you know, if you want to enter the giveaway, one nice thing is you can download the song, take a picture of yourself doing it with a thumbs up, and then you can also use the hashtag Green Easton, tag Easton Baseball on it, which is easy. It's at Easton Baseball, and then give you a chance to win a brand new B5 bat. So the bat itself is your weapon of choice, especially when you're going around the diamond. You want to hit some bombs, obviously, just make some contact too. But yeah, it's a wild time because it's a brand new bat. It's something we haven't seen in such a long time. So I love. What would you call it? Would you call it the remix, or would you just call it the redo?
Man, I would say I like the remix. I'm like, it's a remix, man. It's the modern. It's the second life. There we go. It's the second life of the B5. It came back, like for real.
Yeah.
Like it was like it had its era, and then it just came out of the heavens and just floated back down, looking like this. You freaking got to get this back, man. These people, y'all are missing out, man. For real.
The reincarnation of the B5, the Green Easton.
Yes. Everybody,
CJ.
You know what I think about it? It's almost like in The Lion King when they presented Simba to the tribe or to the in the circle of life.
That's right. That's right.
You know, it just came down from the heavens, bro, and everybody's just like,
man, there's one thing I did not expect to talk about in 2020. It was the Lion King, but man, CJ made it happen. Hey, man, it's great to connect with you. I know we're going to do this again once we get ourselves more technically savvy, or at least I will on the Easton side of things. But yeah, on behalf of Easton, man, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for being a part of it. Obviously, I'm swinging B5. Great hit for you, and we certainly appreciate it, man.
Thank you. I mean, hey, thanks for hosting, man. I mean, Easton couldn't pick a better host, bro. You're the man. When they said that you were doing this, I'm like, yo, this guy right here is the GOAT, man. So thank you. It's an honor to be on here with you. Thank you, Easton, for everything. And hey, our best is yet to come. B5, baby.
Yes, sir.
All right, bye-bye, man. Take it easy, guys.
See ya.